Hello student, now I am going to explain the radar antenna. That is the next part of the fifth module. Here in this part we are going to discuss about the antenna of the radar and some parameter of the radar and how it is going to emitting the signal through the antenna here. Okay, so these are the functionality we are going to describe in this session here. Now first let me explain the concept called functionality of the radar antenna. Okay, so the purpose of the antenna is nothing but it acts as a transducer between the propagation in the space and guided wave propagation. Nothing but if I want to radiate the signal to the space, okay, how it will radiate through the antenna only, because the antenna that is intermediate between the signal propagation as well as the whatever the signal it is received by the transmission line. Okay, so that is act as a transducer here. And next is it is always concentrate on the specific direction to focus the target here. So that is what the concentrates the radiated energy in the direction of the target here. And after that it is going to receive the echo signal from the target and it will pass to the receiver part of the antenna. So that is what the functionality of the antenna here. And after whatever it is going to receive the echo signal from the moving target, it is going to pass to the receiver part of the antenna in the terms of the azimuth error angle as well as the elevation error angle. So that is the parameter it is going to receive in the echo signal of the moving target. And next is it is used as a spatial filter. Okay, it used as a spatial filter in order to separate the targets in the angle domain, and also it will eliminate the unwanted signal present in the echo signal here. Okay, so the antenna it acts as a filter where it is going to separate the echo signal, okay, along from the unwanted signal present that is in the echo signal of the moving target. And also it will provide the desired volumetric coverage. Volumetric coverage in the sense it is going to cover more area, it will cover more atmospheric area in order to detect the target in the atmosphere. That is what we call that as a desired volumetric coverage. Desired volumetric coverage in the sense it will cover maximum area of the atmosphere in order to detect the target. And next is it will establish time between radar observation of the target. So it will establish time in the sense it will rotate the direction of the antenna so that in order to find which direction the target it is moving. So this is about the functionality of the radar here. And next is we will discuss the parameter of the antenna here. The first parameter of the antenna is called directive gain. Directive gain is nothing but what? Here we need to generate the maximum beam, that is called main lobe of the antenna, main lobe of the signal, in order to detect the moving target. How it will generate the main lobe? So why we need to generate the main lobe? Because it will cover the maximum area in the atmosphere in order to find out the target in the space here. So how can we measure? By using the directive gain. So directive gain is nothing but it will measure the main lobe of the signal. Okay, so main lobe is nothing but it contains more energy or more energy of the signal in order to find out the target present in the atmosphere. So how it is a gain is a measure of ability of an antenna to concentrate the transmitted energy in the particular direction. In the particular direction, as I told, so the target it can move either any direction. So I want to find out the target means I need to focus the signal on that specific direction of the target. How? By radiating the main lobe of the signal. That is what we call that as a directive gain. The directive gain that is represented as a GD, that is given as maximum radiation intensity divided by average radiation intensity. Okay, and radiation intensity that is the unit of the radiation intensity is power per unit solid angle here, and it can be denoted as P of theta phi. Okay, and its unit is watts per steradian. And average radiation intensity, that can be equal to the total power radiated by the antenna divided by 4 pi. Okay, so if I substitute the average radiation intensity in the first equation, that is directive gain, the following equation like this. Okay, so I replaced average power antenna is replaced as a total power radiated by the antenna divided by 4 pi. 4 pi it is transferred to the numerator of the equation. Okay, and the maximum power radiated per unit angle, that is obtained by this inspection. And here the total power radiated by the antenna can be replaced as a double integration of P of theta phi with respect to the azimuth angle as well as the elevation angle divided by maximum power radiated by P theta phi to the maximum here. Okay, this is, if I resolve, the P theta phi becomes the numerator, and if I make more simplification, that is equal to 4 pi b, where b is the beam area. Beam area can be represented as that is double integration of P theta phi, that is azimuth angle as well as the elevation angle, divided by maximum power that is radiated in the azimuth angle as well as the elevation angle here. And next is the power gain here. So here power gain, it is similar to the directive gain, but here in the directive gain we are consider only the total power, but in the power gain, in the denominator we need to consider the net power. Net power in the sense, here we need to consider the total power minus signal loss. Okay, so here in the denominator what we express in the directive gain, we express the directive gain as a total power, but if I want to consider the power gain, means the denominator I have to represent as a net power. Net power indicates the total power radiated by the antenna minus the power losses that is appear at the antenna. So that is what it is called net power. Okay, so if I replace total power as a net power in the denominator, that equation is represented as a power gain, and it is represented as a G here. Okay, and the radiation efficiency is the ratio of total power radiated by the antenna to the net power accepted by the antenna. Okay, so here the power gain is equal to rho r into GD, where rho r is radiation efficiency. Now next is the antenna radiation pattern. Okay, so antenna radiation pattern, in the sense we are representing the radiation pattern in terms of azimuth angle as well as the elevation angle. But if I want to represent that azimuth angle and elevation angle pattern in the xy coordinate direction, how can we represent? That is represent in the form of xy direction, that is as shown in this figure here. Here in this figure it is representing the radiation pattern in terms of xy coordinates. Okay, and here this is an example of an antenna radiation pattern for a paraboloidal reflector antenna here. Okay, and here this is the main beam. Okay, at the 0th degree this is the main beam. The x-axis it represents the degree axis, and y-axis it represents the radiation intensity. Okay, at the 0th degree it is appears the maximum beam, nothing but main beam. Main beam is nothing but that is what the antenna that is emitted the signal. That signal we call that as a main beam. Actually, whenever the antenna that is radiating the beam, it contains the main beam, we call that as a main lobe, followed by side lobes. Okay, so if I want to represent in the xy coordinates, that is what it is represent in the figure here. The 0th degree it contains the main lobe, and if I keep on increasing the x-axis, nothing but if I keep on increase the degree, it is going to plot the other lobe of the antenna radiation pattern here. Okay, the main lobe followed by the vestigial lobe. Okay, vestigial lobe, it is followed by the side lobe and some other minor lobes here. Okay, here if I want to get the if I want to get the side lobe, means there will be a less error in the aperture. Okay, so whenever there is a less error in the aperture, the first side lobe, it will appear next to the vestigial lobe. What do you mean by aperture? Aperture in the sense that is an area where it is going to expose in order to receiving the electromagnetic signal. Okay, so how much area that is affected by receiving the electromagnetic signal? Nothing but radio frequency signal. That is what we call that as a aperture. Okay, so if there is if the aperture error is less, obviously whatever I represent the first side lobe, that is appears next to the vestigial lobe here. And if I keep on increases the degree in the x-axis, there is a other side lobe that is appear on the pattern as shown in the figure here. And the radiation pattern intensity can be represented as a p theta of phi. And if I want to represent in the two coordinates plane, that is equal to p theta of 0, that is what, this is x-axis, and p0 of phi, this is for y-axis. Okay, the radiation pattern intensity can be represented in terms of p theta of phi is equal to p of theta 0 into p of 0 of phi. This is what we are going to represent using this equation here. And effective aperture, the next parameter of the antenna is effective aperture. As I told, effective aperture in the sense I need to calculate how much signal, that is how much electromagnetic signal that is fall on the area of the antenna. That area we call that as a effective aperture. Okay, so I want to calculate the gain, that is effective aperture is given as G is equal to 4 pi AE divided by lambda square. AE represents the effective aperture, that is replaced as a rho A into A, where A is the physical area of the antenna and rho A is the antenna aperture efficiency. Lambda is the wavelength of the electromagnetic signal here. So that is what effective aperture. Next is side lobe radiation. Side lobe radiation is nothing but it is followed by the first lobe. Okay, and if I reduce the side lobe, obviously there will be less in the antenna gain as well as the aperture efficiency. So here side lobe radiation means if I want to reduce the side lobe of the antenna pattern, so obviously there will be less in the antenna gain as will be there will be less in the aperture efficiency. So it is very difficult to reduce the side lobe in the practical of the antenna pattern, radiation of the antenna pattern. Next is aperture efficiency. Aperture efficiency in the sense we need to consider the small area of the antenna. By using that area we need to generate the antenna radiation pattern. In the antenna radiation pattern, the pattern consists of main lobe, side lobes as well as vestigial lobe. Okay, so here main lobe is the maximum radiation intensity. Okay, by using the small area of the antenna, how much main lobe it is generated. So based on that we are going to calculate the parameter called aperture efficiency. Aperture efficiency in the sense we need to consider the area of the antenna, based on that how much maximum radiation intensity that is going to emit. Maximum radiation intensity is nothing but it is indicated as main lobe of the antenna radiation pattern here. That is what we call that as a aperture efficiency. Next is, let us discuss about the types of the antenna. Okay, here we have a parabolic antenna, we have a cylindrical antenna, okay, and we have much more types of the antenna here. But now I am going to discuss the first type of the antenna called the reflector antenna here. Okay, the reflector antenna is nothing but whatever the curve, it is nothing but we call that as a parabolic antenna here. Okay, the size of the antenna, whatever the shape of the antenna, that is we call that as a parabolic. Okay, and here we need to consider the feed here. Feed is nothing but that is the source that act as a source in order to emit the signal. Okay, so if I want to generate the antenna radiation pattern means I need to get the signal. Where I can get the signal? Through the feed here. Okay, feed is act as a source of the signal in order to generate the antenna radiation pattern here. Okay, and I kept my feed at the beam axis of the parabolic antenna here. Okay, if this is my parabolic antenna, I need to kept my source feed at the apex or vertex of the parabolic antenna here, and this feed, it is going to transmit the radiation in all directions, nothing but only where we are going to focus. Based on that focusing area, it is going to transmit the radiation. Okay, so after transmitting, nothing but the feed, it is going to emit the radiation in the form of spherical. After that, whenever the radiation it is emitted from the feed, it is going to hit to the surface of the parabolic antenna. After hitting to the parabolic antenna, all the radiation, it is going to reflect in the direction of parallel direction with respect to the beam axis of the parabolic antenna here. Okay, whatever the radiation it is emitting by the feed in the spherical form, all the radiation it is going to hit to the surface of the antenna, and all the reflected radiation it is travel in the direction with respect to the beam axis of the parabolic antenna. Okay, so this is what about the reflector antenna working. And if I rotate the parabolic antenna with respect to the beam axis, we call that a revolution of the parabola. Okay, so that surface, if I make revolution of the parabolic antenna, we call that as a parabolate. Okay, so that is the concept of the reflector antenna here. Next is we will discuss about the feeds for parabolates. Okay, feed is nothing but it is act as a source where it is going to emit the signal to the surface of the antenna here. Okay, we kept the feed at the focus point of the parabolic antenna here. Okay, and if I come into the feed, there should be no phase variations with angle here. Okay, and whenever it is produced on the reflector surface, okay, nothing but whatever the signal it is emitted by feed, it is always hitting to the surface of the antenna in order to produce the desired aperture amplitude illumination. Okay, and next is directivity. Directivity is in the sense I need to generate the antenna radiation pattern, means it has to produce the directivity concept. Directivity concept in the sense I need to generate the antenna radiation pattern from the feed source here without spillover. Without spillover in the sense whatever the radiation it is emitting by the feed, it should not get spread over with the one radiation with the another radiation. That is what we call that as a spillover here. And next is the radiation pattern produced by the feed, that whatever the radiation it is generated by the feed, that radiation pattern we call that as a primary pattern, and after reflecting to the antenna surface, it is reflected, the reflected radiation we call that as a secondary pattern here. Okay, let us come to the figure here. The whatever the radiation that is emitted by the feed here, this is a feed here. Okay, now this radiation that is emitted by the feed means this radiation we call that as a primary pattern here. And after that, whatever the signal that is hitting to the surface of the antenna, again it is going to generate the radiation pattern. This radiation pattern we call that as a secondary pattern here. And next is the f by d, we call that as a focal length by aperture diameter. Okay, in order to calculate the f by d ratio here. Next, we will discuss about the feed support. Feed support in the sense, see, I need to keep my feed source. So how can I keep? By using the feed support. So let us discuss about the different types of the feed support here. Okay, so here in the figure we are discussing different types of the feed here. Okay, in the first figure we are using the dipole along with the waveguide here. Okay, in order to emit the radiations from the feed here. Okay, and again in the figure 2, again this feed, it is going to supported by the horn radiator. Okay, and again the feed is supported by the horn that is connected to the in front of the parabolic antenna here. Okay, these are the different types of the feed where we are going to use in the antenna radiation pattern here. And here one more point we need to discuss is, whenever the signal it is transmitted by the feed, the sum of the reflected signal, it is going to fall onto the feed source. Due to that, there is a mismatch of the impedance. Okay, there is a mismatch in the impedance, it will occur here. And along with that, here in the figure C, we are taking the support, we call that as a supportive feed here. Okay, in order to make the support for the feed, we call that as a support feed here. Here what happens, whenever we are taking the help of the support in order to focus the feed onto the surface of the antenna, it will affect the aperture area of the antenna also. Okay, these are the two disadvantages in the feed support. In order to overcome that, we are using the offset feed here. Okay, so what are the two disadvantages? Whenever the signal or whenever the radiation that is emitted by the feed, the emitted radiation, it is fall into the antenna surface. After falling, the reflected radiation again it will fall into the feed here. Due to that, the mismatch impedance it will occur. Mismatch impedance it will occur between the radiation and the transmission line of the antenna here. And along with that, the supportive feed it will causes the effect on the aperture. In order to overcome that, we are using the offset feed. Okay, next we will discuss about the offset feed reflector. Okay, offset feed reflector is nothing but it will eliminate the mismatch impedance that is affected from the reflected radiation with the transmission lane of the feed here. And also it will overcome the effective aperture here. Okay, so that is the advantage of the offset feed. So here let me discuss about the offset feed reflector. Here we need to consider the first upper tip of the horn antenna. Okay, and we removed the lower part of the tip of the horn antenna here. Okay, and we kept the feed at the focus point of the antenna here. Okay, and whenever the feed it is emitted the signal, it is always fall onto the surface of the parabolic antenna, and the reflected radiation it is reflected in the direction of parallel to the parabolic axis here. Okay, and the feed is away from the reflected radiation here. And also in this offset feed reflector, it is very difficult to support the mechanically for the feed here in this type of the offset feed reflector. And also f by d, that is focal length by diameter, whenever it is large, so that the feed is also become the large. Whenever f by d is small, the feed is also small here. That is what the disadvantage of the offset feed reflector. Okay, now let me discuss the next type of the antenna called cascade antenna. Okay, in the cascade antenna we have two reflectors. One reflector we call that as a parabolic reflector, that is this one, the larger reflector shape, and other one is hyperbolic sub reflector, the smaller shape. Okay, and here we kept the feed at the vertex point of the parabolic reflector here. We kept the feed at the vertex point. We call that as a real focal point here. And we kept the hyperbolic subreflector in the axis to the point of the focal point. This focal point we call that as a virtual focal point, where we have to keep the hyperbolic subreflector here. Okay, so here let me explain the working of the Cassegrain antenna here. Okay, so what here, whenever it is going to receive the signal from the target, all the signal it is going to hit to the surface of the parabolic antenna, and the reflected radiation that is fall into the hyperbolic subreflector. Okay, after reflected radiation it is fall onto subreflector, again it is re-reflected to the feed here. Okay, nothing but we call that as a converge re-reflected radiation beam here. It will converge all the re-reflected beam to the feed source in order to amplify the target of the echo signal here. Okay, so this is what about the working principle of the Cassegrain antenna here. And here, if the shape of the hyperbolic subreflector is more, then the distance between the feed and the source will be less here. Okay, if the shape of the hyperbolic subreflector is small, the distance between the feed and the subreflector will be large. Okay, so this is what about the Cassegrain antenna. Here, as I told, the shape of the hyperbolic subreflector, if I increase, the distance between the feed and the hyperbolic subreflector reduces. Whenever the distance between the feed and the hyperbolic subreflector reduces, obviously it will block the aperture of the parabolic reflector. Okay, so the shape of the hyperbolic subreflector is more, obviously the distance is less. Whenever the distance is less, obviously the aperture block it will occurs. Okay, in order to overcome that, we are using polarized twist reflector. Okay, in the polarized twist reflector, we are going to overcome the aperture block, as well as we are going to emit the radiation in the form of single polarization here. Okay, so let me explain the construction part here. Okay, this is the primary parabolic antenna and this is the secondary parabolic reflector here. Okay, and here we are transmitting the signal in the form of horizontal polarization. Whenever the signal that is emitted by the feed to the secondary reflector, obviously it will change the phase of the radiation, that is to 45 degree. Okay, in the subreflector it contains the horizontal grating wires. Okay, the subreflector it designed as a horizontal grating wires in order to change the angle of the incident radiation from the feed here. Whenever it is change the incident radiation, that is 45 degree, again the subreflector it is reflect back to the primary reflector here. Okay, after falling to the primary reflector, again the whatever the reflected radiation from the subreflector, again this will change the degree once again 45 degree. That is totally it will change the 90 degree phase shift. Okay, here we designed the primary parabolic antenna along with the twist reflector. Okay, twist reflector is nothing but that is it is designed as a horizontal oriented wire of the 45 degree, that is represented in the dotted line here. Okay, and here when the radiation when the signal it is passed by the feed, it will fall on the subreflector. It will change the phase of 45 degree because the subreflector designed as a horizontal grating wires. After that again it is reflected back to the primary reflector. After that again it will change one more 45 degree of the re-reflected radiation here. totally it will change the radiation signal of the 90 degree, that is from horizontal polarization to vertical polarization here. That is what we call that as a single polarization. Okay, here two parameter we need to consider. One is called aperture block, it is solved, and one more is it is going to use only for what single polarization. Okay, so and the twist reflector, that gap between the primary reflector and the twist reflector is quarter by the wavelength, quarter of the wavelength here. Okay, so this is what about the operation of the polarization twist reflector here. Okay, next is the parabolic cylinder. The parabolic cylinder is nothing but in order to obtain the asymmetrical antenna pattern. In order to obtain the asymmetrical antenna pattern, we are using parabolic cylinder here. And it contains the source as a line source, series of the feeds, that is represented as a linear array that is located at the focus of the cylinder. Okay, in order to illuminate the parabolic cylinder reflector, and the beam width is always perpendicular to the plane here. And advantages of the parabolic cylinder is that it is having large number of individual radiators in its linear array that provides more control of the aperture here. So this is what about the parabolic cylinder, and this completes your 5th module of the radar engineer. Thank you.